Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome. I have this lovely picture on, and we are going to talk about rashes today. There's a couple people. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Okay, here's the lovely awful picture of rashes. I will take that away, and we can just see me. Hello. I hope that you are all having a great day. This camera is backwards from Zoom camera, so that's difficult. So which side is my thing not fixed? Okay, we are going to talk about rashes today, which is very exciting, very helpful, very stressful, and hard to do. Hello. Okay, you guys found the chat, which is great. I'm using Restream again, which is very fun. It allows me to do multiple things and screen share. I don't have slides today. I don't think we'll get into screen sharing besides what I just already did, but it gives me the feature. The unfortunate part about Restream, because I have the free version, is it takes 15 seconds for your comments to come to me. So if you don't see me doing that right away, let me, it's okay. It is quite a delay. If I ask a question, I know it takes 15 seconds, and more for you to type and think of your answer. So I will hem and haw for a second after I ask a question and won't move on instantly. So that is that. All right, so we are talking about skin rashes, and the approach that I take to skin rashes basically is what I wanted to talk about today. So glad you joined us, and this is on replay for people you want to send it to, or people who are joining us later, but you already will know that. My brain hopefully will work for us because it's been used well today. And my cod liver oil is at home, so I can't take any more right now. Okay, we're going to talk about the what, why, and heal of rashes. Let's do that. So first, talking about what. What is a rash? So I'm sure there are very technical definitions of rashes, but I kind of make my own up because they make sense to me. In the broad definition, or the way and the perspective I find it most helpful to approach health and to help health out. So what is a rash? A rash is something on your skin that wasn't a burn that you got there, right? So it's something that came out instead of something that happened to the skin. Simple, that's a rash. Rashes are made by what, right? That's the actual question. In general, rashes are made from toxins. And this is actually a really neat way to look at rashes, and why I appreciate and why I've come to look at rashes this way. That all being said, I want to keep in mind, I'll mention throughout this a little bit homeopathy, because a lot of what I have, not necessarily what I've learned, but someone I feel very locked arms with in terms of how we view rashes are homeopathic providers. There's one here in this area, Amber, you may have seen her talk. Rashes for homeopaths are exciting because it means the body is getting something out. And when I heard Amber say that that's how they viewed rashes, I was excited because that's how I view rashes. When toxins leave the body, they damage the skin, or at least cause an itch, and that often causes a rash. We can figure out what the toxins are and all of that, and that's part of the puzzle we're going to talk about today. But in its simplest state, rashes are toxins leaving the body, and the skin isn't quite healthy enough to heal from the damage without leaving a mark. That's it. Okay, bye. Go home. No, just kidding. So, what caused the rash? Toxins. Why are the toxins there? That's a great question. The toxins could be there because of an illness. The toxins could be there because of eczema. The toxins could be there because of a reaction. Anything that has the potential, or does create toxins, has a potential to create a rash. One example, it's hard to describe this whole concept in linear fashion, so I'm just going to give you a whole bunch of examples to help you see that they're the same. So one example that I learned, because I started nursing at the tail end of keeping common sense. That's rude. I don't care. So when I started nursing, one of the things we knew is that when people got a rash from taking penicillin after a strep infection, it was proof of strep, basically, because the penicillin killed the strep released a toxin, and that came out through the skin as a rash, and it was a very consistent rash. Any kid with strep who got penicillin had a rash that looked pretty much exactly the same. Mild variations, but pretty much the same. So in that instance, and now we call that a reaction, and a lot of people claim to be allergic to penicillin because of that. I'm not for doing antibiotics, so maybe that's fine, but that's not an allergy. That was a reaction that would be expected. It means it's working, actually. And so switching, because we were so afraid of an anaphylactic reaction, we switched drugs when that basically just proved that the drug was working. Okay, try not to soapbox today yet. We'll get there. Number 2 example. So eczema, super common right now in our world. What is an eczema rash? So the toxins that are produced by some strain of Candida create a rash on our skin that is an eczema-like rash or an eczema rash. There are many different types of eczema rashes. Eczema rashes can be in the inside of your elbows. They could be cradle cap on your scalp. They could be athlete's foot or jock itch or different things like that. So those are all from Candida or Candidiasis albicans strains. There's well over 100 strains. They can be very deeply rooted. They feed on sugar and carbs, so of course they're around in our world. And then there's other reasons Candida can be around, including toxicity from heavy metals, which is also very prevalent in our world, and why I think a lot of our younger kiddos are getting it who have not eaten carbs, that their moms had it or their moms had heavy metals that they passed on to their babies. And so we're seeing that. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, don't talk too soon after drinking. I almost went into a coughing fit. Okay, so if toxins are causing the rash, why have we not always had rashes? Sorry, I didn't say all things. Oh, illnesses. So same thing for illnesses. A lot of kids will get a heat rash, right? That's a thing that we get. We will get chicken pox. That's from an illness. Trying to think about it. Measles, not mumps, but measles, like shingles. There's tons of different rashes that we know are present and happen in our bodies when we have what we've identified as a specific illness that follows the progression. If you have not yet watched it, I'd encourage you to go watch my discussion about the theories I'm throwing around about the immune system and what illnesses actually are. And basically the short of it is postulating, are all illnesses actually just detox reactions? And I don't want to say just, because some of them can be strong, but are illnesses only detox reactions? And some of them happen to be detox reactions shepherded by a bacteria or a virus, but the symptoms of an illness fall in the same symptom camp as detox or die-off. So is it really a attack of something in your body, or is it something coming in that helps your body to clean up, which you perceive as an illness because it's uncomfortable to clean up our bodies? We do a lot of cleanup when we feel that sick. And we can detox on our own, but we usually don't detox so much that we feel as sick as we do when we feel sick. And so that's just a thought. So go watch that video because I think it's great. And I love the ideas that I'm putting together in the last year. And I'd love feedback about those ideas. What holes do you see in those theories? What makes sense to you? What doesn't? What would build up or tear down the argument for this idea? Because one, science is not settled. That's not a thing. Science is, there are things that are settled because they are demonstratable and repeatable. But as we come with new information, we change things all the time. We now know that microbiome is present in a healthy person. Sterility does not equal health. So there's a whole shift that we have to make in our thinking that has not been made by the medical world at large. So we need to look at illness different. So science is demonstratable, repeatable, and then hypotheses are guesses or theories that you test and prove. And then if new information comes up, if your theory is correct, you still will be able to prove it correct. If your theory is wrong, new information will change what your hypothesis is. And your theory is because it should. And if you just hold a death grip on something that's not changing with the world, like sterility equals health, which is not true. We know it's not true, but we're still holding a death grip on that as a culture in the medical world. And so we aren't allowing other theories to be examined or ideas to be postulated, which is why we're really bad at doing healthcare. You guys get sassy, Amy, today. All right. Okay. So toxins coming out through the skin come from something. They come from a detox reaction. They come from an illness if they are two different things. We'll divide them as a bacteria or virus causes detox versus your body causes detox. How's that? That will make me feel better. Eczema, that comes from toxins from yeast, candida. You can get toxins from molds. You can get toxins from parasites. You can get whatever. There's tons of rashes that are produced from toxins. And then specific toxins can make specific looking rash. So the rash of chickenpox is a particular toxin that comes out in a particular place in your body. And so it will have a rash that looks, the pustules look the same. And they follow a pattern. Measles follows a pattern. And it's a rash that follows a pattern. So that's what rashes are. There's some toxin coming out through the skin. Why do some people get rashes when other people don't? Why are some rashes worse than other people's rashes? This has to do with your toxic load, the amount of toxins, and your liver's ability to process toxins not using the skin, and your skin's ability to be resilient to the damage of the toxins passing through them. That's what I would say are the three things. Let me check my list and make sure I didn't miss something. Yes, so toxins coming out, how many are there? What's your liver doing? Can it take most of the load, or does it rely on the skin to process the toxins out? And number three, is your skin fed enough, well enough, resilient enough to deal with any damage that the toxins do coming out? I say this a lot, and I feel like it's common sense, but maybe it's not because I just maybe think about it all the time. But toxins are like little boingy ping pong balls that they're not really. They're caustic things. So they either are binging around and hurting things, like a little 2-year-old that pulls everything down, you can't keep up with them, or they're like a teenager that's like knocking things over, or they're like, I'll just go with 2-year-old because that's just nicer for us all. A 2-year-old who you're trying to get them to move and they don't want to, so they're grabbing everything off the shelf, or they're throwing a fit in the store, right? So I love 2-year-olds, and I know they're not always like that, but they are like that sometimes. So that's what toxins are like. They hurt our cells when they're coming through. There are things that can make our cells more resilient to not being harmed. A good cell membrane, which takes lots of cholesterol, vitamin C, collagen, iodine, things like that. Efficiency in moving them. So if our cells are reproducing slowly and those toxins sit in there or get mixed in, and it takes a long time for them to get out, they're going to cause a lot more damage than if they were able to pass through quickly. Doing things like detox baths, jumping ahead to the what to do, but doing things like detox baths, which help pull those toxins through the skin, just get them out. They're already coming, they're damaging the skin, just get them all the way out by drawing them out with a detox agent like Epsom salt or apple cider vinegar. So vitamin F, fatty acids, unsaturated fatty acid, USF ointment, standard process sells that, lanolin, lard, there's all of these things that help your skin be resilient. Lanolin is huge in unsaturated fatty acids. That's part of why we use it so much for things like breastfeeding support, because the skin needs help to be resilient. So clean cells, cells that have good minerals in them, cells that have a good structure, so fat and fatty acids, cells that are clean, cells that are well nourished, and then cells that can be replaced quickly when they are damaged with new cells that are not damaged because you're eating enough food. The food specifically for rebuilding cells, I mostly mentioned already, but we need collagen and vitamin C, especially for connective tissue, so between the cells. For cells, they have a phospholipid membrane, so you need some lipids, you need proteins, you need amino acids. The cell to reproduce needs everything inside of it to be able to, create a duplicate of itself. And iodine is very important. Minerals are very important. So if we don't have all the products to make new cells, we will just keep our old broken cells. And it's like you limping on a bad knee instead of getting a knee surgery. Not advocating knee surgery, but goes with the example. So 1, we boost our nutrition to our cells. Now, what makes this really tricky? Most people with skin issues have leaky gut. Probably all of them. Unless you have just a childhood rash. I don't think every child that gets chickenpox has a leaky gut. In fact, if we still got our childhood diseases, we would have less leaky gut, very likely. Okay, so we have cells that are epithelial cells in our skin, right? Those are skin cells. But we also have cells that are gut cells that are in our gut, but they're also epithelial cells. So if your gut is being damaged or is lacking in nutrition to be able to repair and reproduce itself, your skin is not going to take a higher priority than your gut, because we need our gut to absorb food. So if our skin is suffering, that's very likely our gut is suffering. And if our gut is suffering, we're not absorbing food to fix the very problem that we have from malnutrition. And this is where, plug for GAPS, GAPS comes in, because GAPS is broken down, healing, easy to digest food like meat stock, animal fat, boiled meats, raw meats sometimes too, fermented vegetables, things that are very nutritious, easy to absorb because you need the help when you are GAPS, when you have a leaky gut, to get out of the hole that we're in. Okay, looking at my notes. I wrote toxins, liver. We talked about liver. So, let's talk more about the liver, because the liver plays in here in 2 ways as well. It's very tied in with a leaky gut. Number 1, if you have a leaky gut, you're not absorbing enough food, probably, enough nutrition to feed your cells well. One of those things you need to feed is your liver. Your liver is very hungry. Your immune system, very hungry. Your brain and nerves, very hungry. Your hormone system, very hungry. I think I'm up to 4. And then to reproduce and rebuild cells, cell regeneration is a very, it takes a lot of building blocks to do that. So once you get a leaky gut bad enough, we start running out of building blocks, and the body has to choose which ones are most important. Well, your brain's pretty important. Your blood vessels, your blood-brain barrier. Your skin is not very important. Do you see why starting to see why rashes are so far down on the list of things that your body doesn't take care of? Because besides protecting from invading pathogens, your skin holds us together, but it can do that pretty damaged. It doesn't have to be that healthy to be alive and functioning. Not comfortable, that's a whole nother thing. But when your body has to choose between your heart beating and your skin being whole, it's going to choose your heart. You want it to choose your heart. So, number 1 problem with liver is it's not getting fed enough. B vitamins, A vitamins, fats, minerals are in high demand with everything else I just mentioned in that list. Number 2, toxins are going through your leaky gut holes and causing a more overwhelm to the system than it had before. Because most toxins should be kept in the intestines and colon and removed in the stool. If you have a leaky gut, those toxins meant to pass through you that should never get in you, even if you accidentally ingest them, are going to get into your body and hurt you and have to get dealt with. The liver and the lungs have to deal with them. The lungs, we'll side note on the lungs in a second. So the liver, when it can't do it as much, it can't pull the toxins out as fast as they are getting in to put in the bile, to put in the stools. And if you're constipated, they just reabsorb anyway. So when the liver gets overwhelmed, it ends up going through the skin because it's in the bloodstream. The body tries to get rid of it through the skin. Number 2, your lungs are mucous membranes and epithelial cells. So the same damage and leakiness that happens in your skin and your gut it's going to start happening in your lungs eventually. Some people have more propensity to this than others, but that's why there's a Atopic Triad. Atopic Triad is what they call it, which is allergies, asthma, and eczema. They all go together because they're all skin cells. So I know we're talking about rashes, trying to stay on topic, but you have to know about the other things, because part of why rashes are so hard to heal is because many other skin cells need it, and they are higher priority than your external skin. Also, the body is very smart, and it knows toxins close to your organs bouncing around like a 2-year-old are going to hurt your organs. So it says, let's push it out through the skin. That organ it's made to handle it. So that's why rashes stick around the longest and are hardest to heal. They can tell us really helpful things about our healing journey. So we don't want to just say, well, forget it, I'll just have rashes forever. Because when your skin is good, then you know healing is happening, which is excellent. So we'll get to why rashes can be super helpful to help you know where your health is and what you're doing, how it's affecting your body and your health. But that's part of why. I just was talking with Amber recently, and she was mentioning how I think it was Amber. I know a couple homeopaths. How homeopaths view when kids or adults have a lot of skin issues, they're really encouraged because it means they're what they call vital force, or like just constitutional energy and strength. The more rashes you have when you have toxins and push them out, it means you're very strong. If you have toxins and they don't get pushed out and they're damaging your organs, you may have a weaker constitution. Now, not all of us have toxins that need to go through the skin. So if you don't have rashes, don't freak out. But that's just for an encouragement for especially moms of little kids that have rashes. It changed my perspective. Maybe these babies aren't as sick as I think, because you know what? They're happy. It's the parents that are freaked out that the rash is there, and maybe sometimes they're itchy, but not always. What if they're just really strong and they actually feel great and their skin's a little bit taking the brunt temporarily while they clean up? And so it really changed my perspective on rashes. And I became a lot more thankful to the body for knowing that the skin can handle it, but the heart and the thyroid and the parotid gland and the pituitary gland, like those things are sensitive and damaged. That's why they're in the middle, so they're protected behind bones for the pituitary gland. And they get hit hardest with toxins often. So I became very thankful to the body for making rashes, because great, good job, get it out. Now, do we want to lessen the amount of toxins in our body so that we don't have to have a rash? Yes, of course. Let's do that. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Sometimes imbalanced flora can cause or make it more likely for us to have a rash, because for a couple reasons. One, imbalanced flora in our gut produces toxins that go through our leaky gut into our bloodstream, liver becomes overwhelmed, and we get a rash. Also, if we don't have balanced flora on our skin, we can get a rash because the job of flora, one of the major jobs of flora, not just gut flora, but we have flora everywhere in our body. One of the major jobs of flora is to maintain epithelial cells, the integrity, make new ones be born, all of that. And so the leaky gut junctions are maintained by your gut flora. Your skin being very strong and a good thickness that also is able to protect you and isn't cracked, that's maintained by your skin flora. If we have imbalanced flora from bathing in chlorinated water all the time or swimming in the pool, putting fake lotions and potions, as Dr. Natasha says, lotions and potions on our skin that damage our flora, taking certain medications, putting certain medications, including steroid creams, on our skin, these all damage our flora. That leaves our skin more vulnerable and less able to repair itself. So getting the chlorine out of your water with a dechlorinator ball is huge. And your shower is huge. Drinking dechlorinated water, obviously, I recommend. And then putting probiotics on the skin. I recommend this all the time. Either taking sour cream, using it as a lotion. Yogurt, using it as a lotion. The fat probiotic combination is better. So that's what I recommend usually. Tallow, coconut oil, put some probiotic powder capsules, in that and mix that on. Essential fatty acids, emu oil, USF ointment. There's lots of different options. Lanolin, lard, tallow, which is pig fat and beef fat. Those are all super helpful for nourishing the skin. And then when you add probiotics to it, you are repopulating the flora to something good and helpful to the body. So it can do its job of maintaining the barrier, the protective barrier of epithelial cells, which is their job. Okay. Oh, I already did that one. Skin equals epithelial cells, lungs, gut, mucus, etc. Bladder, so epithelial cells line things. So our blood vessels are lined by epithelial cells, blood-brain barrier, your gut, mucous membranes, lungs, bronchioles, bladder, urethra, ureters, vaginal wall lining, all of those, skin, all those are epithelial cells. So when we start getting damage in one epithelial cell, we can start getting damage in others. Or if there's not enough nutrition to go around, we have sharing problems. The body has to prioritize. The body's good at sharing, but it prioritizes. And its priority might not be yours. So the other thing I want to talk about with that, I'll start talking about it, is this idea of something called a Pmg, or protomorphogen. I use the word protomorphogen because that is what Dr. Royal Lee, who discovered these substances, called them. There is a new name since Harvard discovered this 80 years later called cell determinants. It is a very descriptive name, so I do like it. So what are cell determinants, or Pmgs? They are the DNA that identifies or determines the cell type. So skin cells, hair cells, liver cells, different, but many components are the same. What makes them different? What makes them grow and know to be a liver cell in the liver? The Pmgs do that. So Pmgs determine the type of cell, the function of that cell, and then they also determine the size and function of the organ overall. Pmgs are what tell your organ to grow in an organ shape and not to grow more, which is very interesting when you think about cancers. What is cancer doing? It's growing outside of the normal parameters of the organ. Just keep that in mind. Okay, Pmg's immune system involvement. When we have a cell that gets into the bloodstream, like an epithelial cell from either your gut or your skin or your blood-brain barrier from a bad concussion, or your mucous membrane linings or your bladder lining because you had UTIs all the time. If damaged tissue leaks into the bloodstream and you have unescorted proteins with this name tag that says, "Hello, I am a skin cell." When you have that and the immune system sees it, it knows that that is not good. Unescorted proteins, big no-no in the house. So it kills or destroys that protein. That's why we have food allergies and why leaky gut causes food allergies, because proteins get in without being broken down. When that protein of your skin or whatever gets in the bloodstream multiple times, eventually the body goes looking for the source and identifies it specifically, right? So humoral immunity, or remembering immunity, it says, I want to assign you a group of soldiers. You just be on the lookout for skin cells in the bloodstream. Once that develops, those soldiers are going to find skin cells not in the bloodstream because they are tasked for a job. So then they go to your bladder and they start attacking it. They go to your skin next because it's the same type of cell and start attacking it. So now we have an autoimmune response on top of the damage. Why is the autoimmune response there? Because our body went crazy? Nope. It's because toxins hurt the cells, or whatever. Toxins hurt the cells got into the bloodstream, the body was being overwhelmed by cells in the bloodstream, and it tried to fix the problem. So that is what's happening in any autoimmune disease, is a progression of damage. It's on the scale, I'll go this way for you. It's on the scale of a progression of damage. Okay. Keep the Pmgs in mind because we're going to talk about something about them later. So Pmgs can cause an autoimmune component to damage. And when we start getting enough damage, like a leaky gut or eczema forever, now we start attacking our gut cells. And the leaky gut came because of the eczema toxins from the candida. And they all often happen because of each other, and it's a mess. The good news is all we have to do is change the flora, get the toxins out, refeed the body, and feed the flora to keep it happy, the flora we want. So the fix is simple. It takes a lot of time and energy, but it is very simple. Okay, I think that's all I want to talk about. What is a rash? So in definition, with all that you've learned, what is a rash? A rash is toxins coming out through the skin that damage the skin and the skin was not able to repair itself. Sometimes there's an autoimmune component to the rash. Mostly we call that psoriasis, but it can be subclinical in many other things. People with eczema, pure eczema, can still have an autoimmune reaction. It's just subclinical or not labeled and diagnosed. Okay, great. I'm going to take a drink of water. Anyone have any questions about what is a rash or any observations? Go ahead and type them in. Next, we're going to talk about why. Why does it stick around? Why is it not getting better? Why is it persisting? So we're going to talk about that next. I'll wait for a couple more seconds. 15 seconds is forever when you are not allowing empty airtime. Too bad radio is not a thing anymore because I'd be practiced at it. That's right, YouTube's the new radio, right? Okay. If questions come in still, if you're still typing them, I will interrupt myself and go into that. But I'm going to move on, assuming that maybe I explained well. Okay, why is a rash persisting? A rash is persisting because we haven't been able to fix the 3 reasons why it's there in the first place. So if you think about a rash like chickenpox, simple 100 years ago chickenpox. A kid got chickenpox for 7, 8 to 14 days, whatever it is. You get a rash. They itch a lot. I had chickenpox. It was not fun. I was 14. It was really not fun. So you get a rash. It itches, and then it goes away. You don't have to do anything. The body clears it and takes care of it, which is great. Why do some people get eczema for years and years? Why is it not getting better? Why do some people there's all sorts of skin issues, and a lot of them stick around anymore. So why? There are 3 major reasons why. 1, the toxin is still present. Whatever the toxin is, it might be from gut flora, it might be from your amalgam fillings and mercury, it might be from stored material from a previous vaccination that didn't get cleared from your body properly. It might be from your mom's toxic load that she gave you when you were born, of metals or toxins. It might be from secondhand smoke you inhaled every day for a year at your grandparents. It might, what is the toxin from? Is it stored? Is it not getting cleared? So sometimes it is a toxin that we got that we haven't cleared out. And so the body's just working on that, the pace that it can. And if everything goes well in 2 or 3 more years, it's going to be better. Number 2, there is a toxin currently poisoning your body. That toxin may be external, like you live in a house with black mold. You live on a farm where they spray planes over top. Talk to someone today. Planes are spraying over top her house. They don't even have farms. They're not that close to a field, and yet their trees are dying, and they are sick at their house because of the overspray of crop dusters. That's a problem. That's a poisoning. Maybe you have amalgam fillings that are leaking mercury out all the time. Maybe you have other hardware from a knee replacement, right? So something happened. Or it's externally, that's external. So in that way, we just remove the thing and we get better. Change your laundry soap, move to a different house. No, that's not easy. But those types of things. Get the mold remitted. That's not the right word. We're going to move on. Okay, remediated. There we go. Or you have a toxin source inside you. Almost all the time, this is our gut flora producing the toxin. And our gut flora, when it becomes imbalanced because of the environment it's in, usually an alkalinic environment that is low oxygen. Low oxygen, alkalinic environment grows flora you don't really want to be growing super prolifically. Molds, yeast, parasites, these are all here for a reason. often to do a job to help the body out. Like yeast and candida and parasites eat heavy metals, which may prevent you from getting MS, Alzheimer's, or cancer down the line. So we want that. Except they have some nasty off-gassing stuff that's a toxic. Less toxic than cancer toxin, but still a problem. We also may have flora that is overgrown or present because of the ecosystem we have created in our body. If you think about a stagnant pond, what grows there? There's lots and lots of algae. Algae cleans stuff up. If nature is able to run its course in cleansing an area, it actually eventually cleanses it. Think about a dead, rotting carcass. That is really, really gross until it's not. Until the bones are clean and you could bleach by the sun and the soil is now better. And the ecosystem of wildlife, including tiny little bugs, all got fed and balanced. So we don't want to be in the middle of a dead, rotting carcass. We don't want our body to be that. But sometimes it is. Toxins damage cells and you have dead tissue that needs eaten. You were eating crappy junk food and you didn't feed your body well, so now we can't reproduce cells. You weren't reproducing cells fast enough. All these things are reversible, don't freak out. But that you may have an ecosystem that you created either on purpose or accidentally, probably accidentally, that is not great. And so the bugs that come to help you rebalance that may not be ones that are particularly pleasant. We don't really like maggots, but we like what maggots do. They clean up all that dead stuff, which is great. So when you have flora, you need to look at why the flora is there. It is always there for a reason. And I don't like to say any longer bad flora and good flora, because that flora that we would call bad flora is good. It's not that flora's fault that your ecosystem was something that needed it to come and help. So what we can do, though, is help clean up the ecosystem, right? You can go get the oil off the top of the, strain, or I can't think of the word, get the oil off the top of the pond. You could pick the dead carcasses up and put them somewhere else so they can rot away from the pond. You can do things in your own body like detoxing, like eating clean foods now, like getting your mercury fillings out, like doing different things that help detox specifically, not too fast, your heavy metals. So you can clean up your ecosystem faster so you don't have to have the undesirable bugs around. Does that make sense? Okay, so I wrote down, why is it persisting? Number one, your toxins are still currently poisoning you, either from external or something stuck inside. And maybe your toxins are in your own fat cells that are stored. A major reason why people are overweight and can't lose weight is because their cells are so full of toxins. The body, no matter what, unless it is starving, will not break that cell open to use it for fuel because the toxins released are so poisonous to the body. So if you cannot lose weight, and when you do start losing weight, you feel sicker than a dog, you need to detox and put detox things on purpose and feed your liver and things like that. Okay, so then we go to the toxins go out through the skin, trying to keep on rashes, but it's hard because this is a big topic. It's not really about the skin. That's the point of this. The things we talked about are what are a rash. The skin got hurt by toxins coming out. That's kind of the talk. So why are the toxins there is the one that makes this complicated, and why you can't treat something externally on the skin and expect it to get better, because it is so deep and so it's such a picture of what's happening inside, what's coming out on your skin. Okay, toxins still poisoning or harming you. 2, flora is still present that's off-gassing toxins. We don't like the smell of algae ponds, right? Blech. It's a strong smell. But again, it's there because it's doing a job. So that off-gassing is not always necessarily that helpful for us, but it may be more helpful than the mercury that Candida ate. So again, if we don't like our ecosystem, if we don't like our bugs, look at your ecosystem and what can you do to help it change. Some people already have cleaned up their eating, so now we have to go to GAPS or a detox method like ionic foot baths or detox baths or something. Or some people haven't cleaned up their diet and they just need to stop feeding the things that are causing the damage in the first place, or stop eating literally the chemicals that are causing the damage in the first place. Okay. Number 3, not feeding enough nutrition. Sometimes you've cleaned up the toxins, you went on a juice fast for a month, which I don't recommend unless you're working under someone's care. You moved away from your mold house and you have been doing detoxing forever. Why aren't your rashes getting better now? Maybe you're not eating enough building blocks to repair the skin cells. So this is that collagen, vitamin C, iodine, I said vitamin C, manganese, minerals, zinc, B vitamins, A vitamins, proteins. Maybe you're just not eating enough, and so your skin can't heal or is healing very slowly because it's just the rebuild chains are slow. They don't have enough work. They can only work 2 hours a day instead of 24. So why is your rash persisting? It's either currently getting poisoned still, the damage is still happening. 2, the flora present is present for the poisons, and that's off-gassing damage. Or number 3, you don't have enough nutrition to fix the damage that already has been done. And in the toxin still poisoning you, that involves that the liver is behind still and that kind of stuff. So there's still toxins present, the flora is imbalanced, and you're not getting enough food. Those are the 3 things. All right. So how do we heal that? Well, we just fix that. I love coming to this part because it's so fast. And I'm excited that we're going to be under an hour today because I'm trying to do these quicker. So the flora needs to eat good food. And when you give it trash to eat, certain flora have to be there because the flora that you really like, the ones that make you vitamins and minerals and help you digest your food, they do that job. The flora that picks up the trash and cleans you from rotting dead tissue, I know that's gross, but we have it in our body, dead and dying tissue. That flora you might not like so much, but if you put your body in a situation in which that's the flora that has to be there, you could kill it all you want, but it's going to come back because your body invites it because it's helpful. So Candida is helpful to our body. It eats mercury and heavy metals. It eats dead and dying tissue. So if you don't like your Candida overgrowth, you need to stop feeding it sugar and carbs, and you need to start cleaning up your body and helping it repair faster. Stop hurting it. Stop letting it get damaged. Again, I know you are not purposely hurting your body. Our world is set up to hurt your body, and that's nothing to do with you. But as you learn more things and learn what to do, now you have a responsibility. Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. With great knowledge comes great responsibility. And don't get overwhelmed by that because every little bit you do for your body is helpful and good, and your body is excited for that. So you just stop using, just dechlorinate your water. Huge help to your body. You just stop eating red dye number 5. Huge help for your body. You know, these little things we do are no longer now problems if you stop them. So if you're overwhelmed by this, pick one thing and start there. And then when that becomes a habit, pick another thing and then do that. So that's my recommendation. Don't get overwhelmed. Okay, so we need to change our flora by changing our ecosystem. Because if you just try to change your flora, like by killing it with antibiotics or antifungals or even herbal anti-parasitic, antifungal stuff, it will grow back because it's needed until your ecosystem is cleaned up. And then something else will grow because that's what's needed and that's what's welcome. Detox. I have lots of blog articles on my website about gentle detox methods. The methods that I recommend the most, the easiest accessible, are oil pulling, sunbathing, only if it makes you feel good. Otherwise, just do a few minutes at a time. And some people love the sun. And in that is infrared saunas and all that kind of stuff. So whatever you have access to. Baths. So you can do foot soaks. You can do formal ionic foot baths, which can be pretty powerful. You can do an Epsom salt or apple cider vinegar whole body soak. Whatever makes sense for that. Best to dechlorinate the water whenever possible, especially if you do it regularly. It's $25. Just get a dechlorinator ball. It's so worth your health. Detox. Oil pulling. Holding coconut, sesame, olive oil, something in your mouth for working up to 20 minutes. Spit it into the trash can, brush your teeth, pulls stuff out of your mouth, and I theorize heavy metals out of your system through your parotid glands, which I will just say that for now. Okay, oil pulling, detox baths, sunbathing. Enemas, very accessible. They just dropped the price of the enema kit on Optimal Health Network that I recommend. The 3-quart colon tube enema kit that's reusable for probably your whole life is only just under $100. And you can get a cheapo one on Amazon for about $20-25. So it's so worth getting that nice one from Optimal Health Network. And they have great education on there as well. Enemas are so cleansing to your body. Water enemas are great. When you're comfortable, you can work up to coffee enemas. You can do herbal tea enemas. There's lots of things you can do. But just doing some water with a little bit of salt, filtered water, so no chlorine, body temperature with a little salt is perfect. Very cleansing, very nice. Okay, so detox. Get the toxins out so your poor liver and your poor skin don't have to do as much of them with them. Feeding your body. Dense nutritional foods should replace empty, harmful foods in your diet. Dense nutritional foods are animal fat, animal proteins, especially meat close to the bone, and gelatinous meats. I said animal fat already. Egg yolks. I said animal fat already. My brain keeps going back. Apparently, eat a lot of fat. You do need a lot of fat to repair your skin. That's really true. So in between all of these, eat more fat. Egg yolks, meat stock, because it's very absorbable. You've got the amino acids already simmered away from the muscle fibers. Fermented foods, because the fermentation process makes the vitamins bioavailable to you, and probiotics, bonus. I feel like I'm forgetting. Fat, meat stock, egg yolks, fat, and fermented foods. Those are the main really dense foods. Organ meats. I knew there was one more. Organ meats, liver, kidney, spleen, thymus, any kind of organ meats. Brains, if you live in a country that eats brains. All really, really dense nutrition. Nutrition equals flavor. So everything you eat should have inherently its own flavor that's very strong. That's why organ meats are so strong. It's because they have a lot of nutrition in them. Okay. Feeding. Pmgs. Pmgs are, remember Pmgs we talked about, there is the name tag. There is a there is a supplement, giving you a preview of the next point. There is a supplement called Pmg. Dermatrophin Pmg is what Standard Process calls theirs. Pmg supplements are skin name tags from a pig or a cow, so any mammal. You take those, they break the cells up in the salt water. The DNA falls to the bottom because it's heavier. They gather that up and push it into tablets. Those tablets you take on an empty stomach, and they absorb into the lymph tissue, and your immune system, guys, that are looking out for that skin name tag, attack the supplement and leave your own skin alone. So it is a temporary distraction technique for the skin, or in military terms, a countermeasure, getting too fancy, a countermeasure. So it's a distraction technique temporarily while we're feeding and healing and removing toxins for the skin. If the immune system is also irritating the skin, that makes it harder to heal. So the Pmg supplement distracts that. So if things are really bad, they've been going long, or if you're diagnosed with an autoimmune disease like psoriasis and you know for sure it is autoimmune, attack on your skin, Dermatrophin Pmg can be super helpful. It's recommended, of course, to use the help of this is not personal medical advice, so don't sue me if it breaks. No, just kidding. I mean, don't, but so talk to someone, your provider, to make sure that you're doing something that makes sense to you. You also can have a strong histamine reaction to the Pmg. This is good. It means your body has the lookout for that, because otherwise it's just skin. Chicken skin doesn't give you a histamine reaction. If it does, you definitely need to work on this, right? So if you have a histamine reaction, it shows we picked the right thing. That is something that your body is attacking. So distraction is a great plan. But Sorry, I will get to your question in a second. I see it come in. So distraction is a great plan because clearly you are attacking this particular name tag, but you may need to go up really slow. You may need to do it over time. You may need to take other things to help you get through it, or make sure you're doing detoxing so you can get through that reaction so that your immune system goes, okay, we've balanced out with this, and then it's just the distraction with that. It won't continue to respond so strongly after a while. It just does in the beginning, but it can be pretty intense. So that's, if you have that reaction, it means it's the right thing. Go slower, or definitely call your provider and make sure. Okay, can 1-year-old take a Pmg supplement? Yes, I do give babies Pmgs a lot. So you can just crush it into powder. It's fairly soft, and then just put it on the tongue. It literally is organs. It's from pig skin, and it's just the DNA of it. So it's just food. So it is perfectly fine because you are only eating food. Dosage depends on how many little attack guys your body has for Pmgs. So whether you're 1 or you are 90, you may take anywhere from half a Pmg. I have some people who take 1 Pmg twice a week. That's all they need to just keep their body a little bit distracted. And some people take 4 twice a day. I'm taking a Pmg, well, it's a mixture. 4 twice a day, 8 a day is usually about the most that I've seen, but it's potential that it could be more needed. So 1-year-old is probably just going to take, they might just get through 1 in a day. You can also, you don't have to crush it because 1-year-olds can eat. I wasn't thinking. So even for little babies, I have a lot of babies that take them, and the body knows. And so they'll eat them happily. Not always, so it's okay to ask them to eat them if they're not. But I often find that babies who need them will happily eat them because they know it's good for their body. So it's very salty. They're very salty, so they can be pretty delicious. Okay. So in short answer, yes, a 1-year-old can take one. Of course, you probably, for children, I should say here, you should check with your provider. But if I'm your provider, then yes. Okay, bowel nosodes and homeopathic is the other thing I want to mention as we finish our time here. If you have questions, type them out. I'm going to try to end us be under an hour because that would be exciting and less daunting to people watching the replay. Bowel nosodes are something I just recently learned about from a homeopath who's also a GAPS practitioner, and homeopathics in general. So homeopathics work by seeing what symptoms your body is in and then bringing alongside a remedy, a homeopathic remedy, under the principle of like treats like. So they don't have to have a diagnosis. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. It just matters what your body feels like in this moment, and there are remedies that help you feel not that way. So if you're feeling poorly, or your skin is itching, or a rash gets worse with heat, but better with cold, there are all these different things that are remedies built from observing plants and the reaction to plants, toxic and poisonous things that you can do. Don't worry, you're not taking a toxin or a poison. There's no material left, but it does help your body know what to do in the moment of I'm experiencing this thing. So if you don't have a good homeopath, I would say find one. Amber Curie is here in Loveland, and I work with her a lot. Lise Batalgia. Oh, it's probably backwards. It's not backwards. Okay, Lise Batalgia. This is a really fun presentation that I had. And what she talked about was bowel nosodes, but she is a great homeopath that does a lot of online stuff. So does Amber Curie with Rocky Mountain Homeopathy. So I definitely recommend finding someone near you or someone who's very easily available online. A lot of these homeopaths, because it's such a quick yes and no, what are the symptoms? A lot of them have chat apps that are HIPAA compliant, so they just text all day. So they'll text you, you go like, hey, my kid, blah, 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 and they'll give you some questions, figure out remedy, tell you, and most remedies are available in the grocery store. They're really easy to do, they're completely safe, all that kind of stuff. Great. Okay. Lise was talking about bowel nosodes, and I just wanted to throw this out because it was really cool. Balanosodes are a homeopathic remedy preparation of the bacteria that are missing in certain ecosystems of our body, of our gut. How do I know that those are missing? How do we know? Because if you are lacking or are overgrown in certain things, then you get symptoms, because toxins equal symptoms, not just rashes, which we talked about today, but the toxins will go out. Some toxins go to the lungs and cause asthma. Some toxins go to the brain and cause brain fog. Some toxins go to the brain and cause schizophrenia. Some toxins go to the brain and cause autism. So there are, or autistic symptoms. Autism is just a box we made up, but they cause inability to make eye contact. They cause inability to verbalize speech. And so those are just toxins, but a specific toxin. Those specific toxins will create specific symptoms, and those specific symptoms will be created by specific flora. And the balanosodes help round out your gut flora so that you don't just have this party over here, but you actually have the full spectrum of things. Okay, so there are different ones. And balanosodes, because what we talked about, skin cells, epithelial cells, gut cells, skin cells, all the same thing. So oftentimes we have needs or connection, I would say, for that. So one really cool one she talks about, so there's multiple that she talks about in here. You can look up balanosodes. There's no danger to getting it wrong, except you waste time and you can like shift your body. Nothing's gonna go wrong, but balanosodes are pretty powerful. So you wanna work with a homeopath if you are gonna do balanosodes. Or me, because I'm working on learning these. So Morgan Bach balanosode, super high tech. This one is congestion, and the main effects are on the skin and mucous membranes. There is also a significant effect on the liver. So what the paragraph on this is, a non-lactose fermenting bacteria, most frequently found in stools, it has the greatest number of associated remedies than any other nosode. Emotional issues of success and failure, why bother, I won't win the spelling bee anyway, pessimism about how they can achieve, congestion, skin issues, mucous membrane issues, liver issues. And then it goes on to talk about different profiles within that. But if skin issues are a really, really strong thing, or you fit a profile of a balanosode, it's really helpful to work with a homeopath and maybe do that. And I'm just starting to work on this. I fit the criteria for a balanosode, which doesn't surprise me. I've been a GAPS person my whole life, done so much healing, but I have to work to maintain a certain place in my flora balance. And I'm hoping that this actually will even me out, and I'm excited to experiment with myself, because that's the best when you can do that, so that I can help other people in a different way. So balanosodes are great. Find a homeopath, ask them about them, and find out if you fit, or if they have other ideas. Balanosodes aren't the only way to fix skin issues, but it definitely can be helpful. Okay, I've seen no questions come in. We've got a couple more minutes, but I'm going to end right before 1 hour, unless a question is in. So you got a few seconds to type it in if you have one. But thank you for those of you that joined us live. If you are watching the replay, we're glad to have you here. Please share this with people who need to hear. We're teaching in 2 weeks on dental health. Vicki Flint is coming to talk, and she is awesome. She's going to talk about how to maintain a healthy mouth, basically, which is really vital to our health. So that's in 2 weeks on YouTube. That's what we've got lined up for this month. We'll have more classes next month. Probably at least one more guest speaker, maybe 2. Got a lot. We might have more classes. We shall see. Subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube and want to. I mean, you are watching on YouTube, so subscribe. And you can also, whenever lives come through in the newsletter, you can hit the notification bell to be notified when I go live, so you don't have to remember to get on, because your phone will notify you. So you can do that. Thanks for sharing this, and be well, everyone. Have fun figuring out your skin rashes. No, just kidding. Be well. I'll talk to you all later.